Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is Academy Review. Joining me, as always, is Finn, otherwise known as Academy Scoop, on your socials. Finn, it seems like it's been a while. How long has it since we had the last Academy Review?
A good few weeks. We've had some scheduling issues. We'll call it that.
He's a busy guy, Finn, right? He's big in the game now. He ain't got time for us every week. He's like, oh, Jay, speak to me, agent. We'll see what we can do. No, but he is going to be back every week. Don't worry about that. And usually you're here to cheer us up, aren't you? Just gives a bit of positivity when the first team, more often than not, make us feel a little bit down. Has it been a positive spell for the under-21s and the academy teams?
Indeed it has.
Good, that's what I like to hear. Where do you want to start then?
We'll start with the under-18s.
Okay, good stuff.
Darren Fletcher continuing his flying start to his first season as the under-18 head coach. So they were playing Derby County away. It was not televised by MUTV, which is always a great start. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but obviously that's always really frustrating because you want to be able to watch the youth teams, keep track of the progress of our young players.
Yeah.
There were some clips posted after the game, but the main highlight and the headline was that Gabriel scored a hat-trick in the first 27 minutes.
I mean, seriously, every time you talk about Gabriel, every time I see something about him on socials or whatever, or clips, you can't help but get carried away about this lad. He just seems like he has got it all. It seems like for once the hype is real. Yeah,
it seems like everything's really come together for him at the right time, even though he's so much younger than you'd expect for where he is in terms of his progress and kind of proximity to maybe the under-21s. And you hear about the fact that he's going to be training at times with the first team this season, taking part.
14.
Yeah.
Like, let's not normalise that. We've had in the past, you've had players that have been in the sort of the changing rooms with the senior players when they've been a young age. I think Beckham was in the changing rooms when he was like 14 or whatever, but he wasn't training with the first team. That's completely rare.
Yeah, I think the one that comes to mind is Ravel Morrison. At 14, I believe, was in and around that kind of setup, maybe 14, 15. But yeah. It's incredibly rare, and it takes a special amount of talent to be recognised by the coaches. And it's also a kind of show of faith from the club to say, look, we believe in you. There's a pathway here. But also he belongs there because you can see what he's doing on the pitch. He's not afraid. He doesn't care that he's always the youngest player on the pitch. He's got that kind of courage and bravery and confidence in his own ability to go into a game against players 3 or 4 years older than him and really stamp his authority and shine like he has been so far this season. So yeah, there were clips of his goals after the game. 2 of them, albeit, were almost like Ahmad-esque snatch and grab goals where he nicks it off a defender trying to play out from the back. And then just tapped in, and then the third one was a really nicely taken goal, kind of across the keeper with his left foot. Great finish, and that's another thing that sticks out is his use of his weak foot at his age. I know it feels like everything has to be at his age, but just regardless of his age, it's still really impressive the things that he's doing, and would be if he was a lot older. So yeah, it's so hard not to just be incredibly impressed by what he's doing and incredibly excited about what he can achieve at United.
Do you think United might do that thing that sort of Arsenal tend to do and give lads debuts early to try, partly not, mainly because they're very talented young players, but also you feel there's an element of let's make this lad want to stay here for the foreseeable future. Do you think something like that could happen with someone like Gabriel? Because he has been linked already with moves to basically anyone in Europe. One of all the biggest clubs in Europe would have him because he's so good. Do you think United might make a move like that?
Yeah, there was a bit of tension in the summer and kind of reports that there was a chance of him leaving to another club in England when he's 16. He will be eligible to move abroad because he holds an Irish passport. And so, yeah, there was a point in the summer where it wasn't certain that he'd be staying on to start this season. Jason Wilcox and some other higher-ups kind of stepped in. There were talks held about his pathway and what the club envisions for his future. And I would strongly imagine that part of that is really early involvement, potentially making his first team debut at, it sounds crazy to say, but at 15, 16 in the next couple of years, to really show that, the club sees him as a vital part of the future. And yeah, we have seen Arsenal do that with Nwaneri and now Dowman, although you'd say in Dowman's case it almost looks like he's completely ready to be playing at this level,
it's ridiculous. It's just everything you said about him is true, which is annoying because you were waxing lyrical about him, and rightly so. He looks unreal.
Yeah, I think the less said about that, the better. But
still burns you that one, doesn't it? I can see you're a little bit annoyed that it looks like his future lies at Arsenal.
Yeah, but let's focus on JJ Gabriel.
Okay.
I think it's definitely possible that he could, make a debut at a similarly just outrageously young age. And yeah, it's obviously you've got to take a step back and temper your expectations, but everything he's doing is really impressive. He's got 5 goals in 3 games this season in the Under-18 North League, averaging a goal every 53 minutes. So he's the second top scorer in the league. He's a bit good.
He's a bit good, isn't he? He is, and he's a bit young as well. I'm old enough to be his granddad, basically, which shows you how old I am.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, and how young he is. He wasn't the only one on the score sheet, though, for the game against Derby, was he?
No. Captain Amir Ibrahimov stepped up in the second half, scored a penalty, 4-0, easy as that. And yeah, completely perfect record for Darren Fletcher starting the season as the Under-18 head coach. 10 goals scored, none conceded so far in the league.
I just want to talk to you quickly about Darren Fletcher because you're far too young to remember. In fact, I don't even think you were born. But when Darren Fletcher was brought into the first team at United, I remember it very well. I remember a game against Wolves in particular at Molineux. I think he was used on the right wing, and there was a lot of criticism of him. There was people saying he's Fergie's love child. He's only in the team because he's Scottish. Sorry, and then you fast forward I think it's 4 years later, and him getting suspended for the Champions League final is the reason many United fans sort of point to our inability to beat Barcelona, because he was so good in the semi-finals against Arsenal. He was so good that season. It's like if anyone could have been in that midfield and tried to cope with the likes of Xavi and Iniesta, it would have been Darren Fletcher. Yeah. Obviously had medical issues as well, but did such a good job for United despite all that. And his reputation is sort of stellar amongst the fan base. Mm-hmm. And let's have it right, he's doing everything right as a coach and behind the scenes, if you will, since he's moved out of playing. I mean, the record at the Under-18s, even before that, his reputation was sky high, hence the reason he got the gig. So, yeah, do you think that maybe one day Darren Fletcher, I'm not saying anytime soon, but there is a potential sort of future United manager there one day?
It looks like he's got a lot of the traits that you'd hope for, and the early signs are really encouraging. He spent the last couple of seasons in a kind of hybrid coaching and more kind of decision-making role. At times his role's been a little bit ambiguous, but he's always been on the training pitches, kind of observing how things are done through the last couple of managers. And it seems like he's really, really highly regarded. People within the club were very excited about him taking up this role. I think it came as quite a surprise. But yeah, some of the signs on the pitch with the Under-18s, we're playing attacking football. There are some really clear patterns emerging in the final third, building out from the back really nicely. And obviously part of that is the fact that United have such high quality players, but you can't take anything away from Darren Fletcher for that, because he's platforming these talents in a really effective way, and they're clearly enjoying playing football under him so far. So yeah, it's really, really early days, but what we said when Adam Lawrence left this summer is that there were very, very big shoes to fill, and it definitely looks so far like he's filling them pretty well and stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, definitely, and it's good to see, because everyone I've spoke to who's worked with Darren Fletcher, who knows Darren Fletcher, has nothing but good things to say about him. I think he comes across really well. Obviously loves Manchester United, knows Manchester United, and knows what he's doing in terms of coaching and developing young players as well. So look, I don't expect it to be anytime soon or anything like that, but I think stranger things have happened than one day Darren Fletcher ending up in the Manchester United dugout. Let's move on then to the next game. What game have you got for us?
We have the Under-21s Manchester Derby. AL2.
Okay, this could be a bit of this could let us know how the senior game's going to go.
Yeah, true. A little bit of foreshadowing here, hopefully. But yeah, it was a positive day at Lee Sports Village. Teams almost reminiscent of the Under-18 sides that played a role in the North title challenge last year. A lot of those under-18s have now stepped up into their respective under-21 sides, so a lot of familiar faces on both sides. City definitely were dominant during the early phases, kind of what you expect from their youth teams in terms of dominating the ball, looking really kind of fluid in possession and well drilled. They have some really top players. Ryan McAdoo, who they signed from Chelsea last year as well, and of course Regan Heskey, who's been so dangerous for them. So they were definitely causing some issues early in the first half. One thing that was interesting is that Jacob Devaney, who typically plays as a kind of defensive midfielder for United, was playing at centre-back, which is an interesting thing that I've seen with a few United midfielders. Jace Fitzgerald played at centre-back a lot last season, and I think it's something United's coaches like to do to kind of aid the versatility of the young players and get them to learn the kind of requirements and kind of tactical sides of playing in different positions, and he handled it really well. He's always a proactive defender. He always kind of shows courage and really kind of engages in duels, and yeah, he was quite crucial to United staying in the game early on. Made a really important goal line clearance at one point, so I was impressed by his performance. And United definitely grew into the game in the first half, and eventually opened the scoring through Chido Obi. Obviously.
I've heard of him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's quite good, isn't he?
He's pretty good.
Where are we up to with Chido, right? Because it was like a year ago, me and you were sat here talking about Chido, and you called it. You got it spot on. You said he'll get minutes this season, and he did. He got minutes. I think, was it Fulham in the FA Cup? Was it his debut?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So it wasn't like right at the back end of the season. It was with a good third of the season left, and some people were thinking actually, there's an outside chance he might end up becoming our first choice striker before the season ends. It wasn't that far off it, to be fair. Where are we up to? Because he didn't get his senior goal in a competitive game. I know he got it in friendlies for United, and he's not really been in the squad as such since we've come back from pre-season. So where do you think we're up to with Chido? Yeah,
a lot was made of him removing United from his bio on Instagram.
I saw that.
There's always going to be stuff like that fans will latch on to. I'm not too worried. I think it's kind of natural. You've got to remember he's 17.
Yeah.
Strikers, especially of his kind of style and build, tend to take longer to develop. And I think there's just a little bit of patience needed from kind of both the fans and probably from him, and that's not to make any assumptions about him being unhappy, because we don't know that. But I think he's gonna play a role again this season. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be rotation. We know that Amorim loves to rotate his squad and give everyone chances. We're a few weeks into the season, so I'm not too worried about his role, because obviously we've seen Benjamin Sesko come in, and maybe that's pushed Chido's chances back a little bit, because he's now going to be looked at as our kind of go-to starting striker. But yeah, I think he's in a good place, because he's at the level where I think he can still benefit a little bit from playing under 21 football, but he's also going to be obviously in most first team training sessions, and I would still expect him to get the odd cameo here and there. Obviously United dropping out of the Carabao Cup makes it a little bit difficult, because I'm sure there would have been some games along the way where you can throw in some younger players and give them the first team experience. So that's disappointing, but yeah, I'm confident that he's still a really important, valued young player.
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to panic or to rush him. I get your point, and I know everyone was having this little mini meltdown about what he did on social media, but it's nothing to get too sort of worried about. I don't think so. Anyway, we'll see. Yeah. Famous last words. So what else? What else?
So into the second half, City did hit back through Regan Heskey on a counter-attack. I'd say into the second half it was a pretty even game. United had kind of regained a little bit of momentum from early in the first half. There was one thing that changed the game, which I feel like the same story I think you've said this before about 10-15 times. Shea Lacey, back from a little minor injury at the start of the season, which is obviously frustrating, but good to see him back so soon. Came on and really added a new dimension to United's attack. It's exactly what we expect from him every time. I think everyone's familiar with the level of talent, the level of ability that he shows every time he steps on the pitch. And I think most people would say that thanks to him, United clinched the win. There was one point where he ran down the right wing, knocked it past a defender, managed to keep it in, and then cut it back from the byline for Amir Ibragimov to finish from close range, and United sealed it 2-1. But yeah, it's a really difficult one with Shea Lacey. Travis Binion spoke to Stephen Ralston of the MEN after the game. Just got a quote here. Everyone in the world knows about Shea Lacey. He needs a little bit of fortune. He needs to be patient with himself, and everyone needs to be patient with him because there's still loads to come tactically, physically and mentally. That's kind of just echoing what we've said many times. And it's really difficult not to worry and not to be, a little bit frustrated. But I think the key thing with him is patience.
Yeah, United needs to show patience. Hopefully he's got patience as well and he gets it and we don't rush him back and he can get that little bit of a break when it comes to injuries, because it does feel like a recurring theme with Shea Lacey, doesn't it? Every time he's fit, you can see what he's about. He's one of the most gifted youngsters around. Yeah. But there's that sort of worry in there because he does get these sort of injuries and at that age as well, where this is the time now where
very
almost there, aren't you?
Yeah,
this is where the Amarim will be looking at these players and going, okay, who's in my match day squad? Who can I take with me? Maybe just give him a few minutes or whatever. And he's not that far off that sort of stage, is it? But it just feels like...
Yeah, I think the feeling within the club is that if he were to string together, a month or more of fitness, string together some good performances, that he would very quickly be in and around that first team setup. And I think Amarim would be eager to give him an opportunity because, everyone's familiar with what he can do on the pitch. It's not even one of those cases, sometimes you'll get a talented young player and say, we know how talented he is, but he doesn't show it often enough. With him, he shows it every time he steps on a pitch. Yeah. You get the same quality and the same impact. It's just about him being, available and ready to step on the pitch and try and avoid these injuries. And he'll be a top player.
No, I completely agree, and I pray that he gets that run because he's you know what, you talk about a Manchester United player. Yeah. That's a Manchester United player. Yeah. That's what I think of when you say a youngster or who's a Manchester United player. Shea Lacey. The fact that's a United player.
The fact that he's grown up in a Scouse household,
even better,
full of Liverpool fans who have all throughout his childhood begged him to switch sides, and he said no, I'm a United fan through and through.
Love that.
That counts for a lot in my books.
No, it definitely does. He deserves a medal for that one alone, and hopefully we'll see him in a United shirt for the first team sooner rather than later. There was another game I think you want to talk about.
Yeah, so another one that Shea Lacey was kind of the star of. But yeah, United's under-21s faced the PFA 11 in a friendly that they organised. So it's a really interesting and quite positive initiative that the PFA do. They had 150 free agents across the summer play in a number of friendlies. And what they do is they support these players without a club. Most of them are, quite experienced, maybe towards the latter stages of their career, and looking to find a club again and get back into the top professional level of football. There were these friendlies. This one against United was the last one of the summer. The PFA, they support them on and off the pitch, coaching, general different types of support, whether that's mental, physical, to give them the best chance possible of finding their way back. So it was a 1-1 draw. The game was live on YouTube, and it's still there to watch, so that if scouts and clubs want to look at these players, they can go back and review the footage. So United were. It looked almost as if United were the more experienced side of the two, which is kind of to be expected when you've got a lot of players on the other side who haven't played together before. United looked really comfortable on the ball, dominated possession, and kind of penned the PFA 11 into their box for large parts of the game. Although they were, they did score first through Connor Wickham.
I saw this. Sorry to interrupt you. Go on, talk us through this goal.
Yeah. Well, we clearly spotted Will Murdoch off his line. Maybe a little bit of naivety in the positioning there, which maybe shows the difference in experience there. And it was a kind of Beckham-esque halfway line peach of a strike.
So I saw the name Connor Wickham, and I thought that must be a different Connor Wickham than the one that I remember. Was it Ipswich or where was Connor Wickham at years ago?
Came through at Ipswich. Was he at Palace for a little bit?
Wasn't he 12 when he made his debut or something? He was one of the youngest strikers I think ever to play at top level football. And I thought this was years ago. So when I saw Conor Wickham, I thought, that can't be the same.
But he's 32 now.
Right. Yeah. This is what I mean. So he's been around. I genuinely think he was about 16 when he started playing top-level football. And he was sort of, when I say top-level, I think he was in the Premier League for a little bit, then he was Championship. He was one of those players that didn't quite live up to expectations. Yeah. So when I saw this, I thought, that can't be the same Conor Wickham as I remember from like the mid-noughties. But obviously it is.
Yeah. And a really, really impressive goal, to be fair. And he was threatening throughout the game. Clearly stood out as one of the higher quality players on the pitch on their side. But yeah, I really like the performance of James Overy, actually.
Okay.
I think he's really growing into what looks like a United player now. Joined last summer, came in from Australia, and he instantly got injured and kind of struggled to hit the ground running, but now looks a lot more confident, a lot more sure of himself, and provides some real quality on the right flank. He's kind of an all-action fullback who he can get back but also bomb up the right flank and have some real influence in the final third, and he was one of United's brighter players. Also Jacob Watson, young centre-back, just 16, so quite early to be thrown in against first-team opposition, but he was excellent, looked right at home. And yeah, it's always kind of difficult to judge when you've got an unknown opposition where it's an assortment of a mix and match of players, but definitely some good experience for all of United's young players to be playing against first team opposition, dealing with the physicality. So I think all parties benefit from something like that, and definitely a really respectable initiative from the PFA.
Yeah, no, it is good, and you're right, the PFA do a lot of good work, and these players need to be looked after as well. Yeah. It's not just about the ones that are on 150k a week, it's players that need a bit of support if things don't go right. And
it's easy. I think it's easy to feel kind of cast aside by the whole system when you don't have a club and when you're a free agent. So to have an arm around your shoulder, and to have a chance to get back into it, I think that's really positive.
So 100%, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, we know Shea Lacey, Diego Leon. You're so far so good. It seems like it's a bit of positive time with the academy and under-21s overall. Yeah. Just looks like everything's ticking along nicely.
Everything's going really well.
Despite obviously losing Adam Lawrence, the players seem to have kicked on under Darren Fletcher at the under-18s level, and under-21s doing well as well. So
I think it's a testament to the structure that Nick Cox put in place as the academy director over the last few years, because he's got the academy to a level where it's almost self-sustaining. Everything is held to such a high standard. The departments communicate well with each other, and it's a well-oiled machine. And it's no surprise that despite the excellence of Adam Lawrence, I think he was a fantastic coach for United, leaving. That level doesn't drop off because the structure is now in place to be really successful, and it's very sustainable.
We could have done with that in 2013 for the first team, couldn't we?
Yeah.
A sustainable structure that didn't suffer when an amazing manager left. Anyway, let's not get into all that. We'll just make ourselves upset. Finn, always a pleasure. Love chatting to you. Love all the work you're doing on socials as well. I know you sort of swimming against the tide at times, trying to find the footage, trying to find out what's going on, because it's not on MUTV, but you always manage to keep us updated on the latest scores, who's playing well, what's happening with the academy team. So make sure you are following Academy Scoop on all your socials as well. Don't forget to, we have launched the Stretford Paddock merchandise. There's a link in the description for that as well. I've been Jay Moy, that's been Finn. This has been Academy Review. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.